ההם בזמן הזה ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה
ההם בזמן הזה בימים ההם בזמן הזה בימים ההם בזמן הזה
נס גדול היה שם נס גדול היה שם נס גדול היה שם
בימים
נס גדול היה שם נס גדול היה שם נס גדול היה שם
ההם בזמן הזה
ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן בימים ההם בזמן בימים ההם בזמן הזה על הניסים ועל הפורקן ועל הגבורות ועל התשועות על הניסים ועל הפורקן ועל הגבורות ועל התשועות.
You tell me. What? Okay, fine. All right, guys, we're going to come sit down. Yeah, sure. I think you're special. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I hope you'll join me in beginning by thanking Menorah for singing and setting the tone for us to have a celebration of Hanukkah together. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence for UJA Federation of New York, a partner of the Westchester Jewish Council, and a big part of the community here in Westchester. I'm a resident of White Plains, very proud to be one. We'll be welcoming our elected officials and our faith leaders. It is an incredibly big moment, and not only joyful, as we all know, in our history. So coming together as residents, as neighbors, as allies, as friends is incredibly important. My goal is not only to say Happy Hanukkah and pretend that everything is fine. My goal is to say Happy Hanukkah and to remind us of the commandment to restore and amplify joy in the face of a world that is dark sometimes. So what I'd like to do is make sure that we know that tonight is co-sponsored. Tonight is part of an effort all around the world, all around the United States, with an organization called Shine a Light. So Westchester Jewish Council and UJA and countless other organizations are partnering with Shine a Light to make sure that we pay attention. It's literally shine a light on anti-Semitism, but never allow the Jewish community nor anyone to be defined by hatred against it. We have to pay close attention because we don't deserve any less dignity than all the human rights that we fight for everyone. So this is our moment to remember that we are called to bring light. It's important to know a little bit about the darkness, though. Otherwise, how will we know what kind of light to bring? Since the events of October 7th in Israel, anti-Semitism has surged in the United States, documented at more than 330% increase over the last 2 months. That takes many forms: physical violence, intimidation and harassment on college campuses, defacing and property damages to synagogues and Jewish organizations everywhere, Jews walking down the street intimidated from showing outward signs of Jewishness. Now, you heard a Jewish a cappella group. There are those who remember not to be quiet about their souls in public. That's a model for what we do on Hanukkah. It's important for us to know that this is not other moments in Jewish history. And having traveled to Israel twice since October 7th, one with rabbinic leaders from all over New York, And just 2 weeks ago, with elected leaders from Westchester County under the leadership of Elliot Forsheimer and the Westchester Jewish Council, many of whom are here today. I don't come here calmly because I can't really walk calmly through the world when my family is hurting, which makes it all the more courageous and important to light a candle, to light 2 candles, to light 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And some of you might know that there's an ancient conversation in the Talmud. I'm sure everyone is well-versed in the Talmud here. There are a bunch of rabbis. I'm looking around. I know I'm not alone. The rabbis asked the question, what is actually the basic minimum that we're required to do on Hanukkah? And you might have images of Hanukkah as you've seen it celebrated. And there are lots of ways that different kinds of Jews celebrate Hanukkah. But actually the requirement in Hebrew is ner ish uveto, 1 candle per household. So on the first night of Hanukkah, there would be 1 candle. And on the second night of Hanukkah, there would be 1 candle. That's fulfilling the minimum. And so the 8th night, tonight, would be just 1. But you and I should never feel that it is sufficient to bring the minimum of light to a situation. The Jews of antiquity then had a debate. All right, so we're going to add a candle. So a total of 8, but then there's a debate. Very Jewish. Do you begin with 8 and then decrease until you have 1 candle at the end? Or do you begin with 1 and build the light? You know the answer, but let me give you the logical answer, which is the first one. Because the Maccabees didn't know how long the light would last. It was the most courageous thing to do, not to light for 8 nights. We didn't know what the miracle was going to be. It was courageous to light for 1 night at all, because we had such a small reserve of energy. And I'm looking at my sisters and brothers, by which I mean all of you, Jewish and not, who are here. Sometimes it feels like those reserves are running low, which makes a night like tonight all the more important, because Hillel, the ancient sage, won the debate. He said, the reason why we increase light is not only on an emotional level, but on a sanctity level. Ma'alin bikdusha ve'ein moridin. We go up in holiness, never down. Westchester is part of the world, has some of the same problems that we are looking at everywhere else. Hatred against any group is hatred against all of us, and we have come together in response to, God forbid, but all of that. This is a moment where your Jewish community is so grateful to be part of a sacred community, knowing that we go up in holiness always, always, always. Today's climate is not a gentle one, but fierce, courageous, light-bringing hearts who only wish each other love can accomplish so much. So it's a deep honor to be here. It's very gratifying to see so many of us here. And speaking as a proud father, it's really nice when, right before me, my daughter is the solo for a Jewish a cappella group. So, we are blessed to have many people here. It is my honor first to introduce my sister in faith. Reverend Doris K. Dalton is currently the chair of the Westchester County Human Rights Commission, and a sweet human being who I first heard, we were standing right outside of the library on MLK, and it was a rally against hate, and you spoke with such tenderness and fierce energy. In that moment, I wasn't in the same kind of need that I am now, but boy, did I have a need for your voice. Thank you for being present.
My friends, it is so wonderful to be with you tonight. I am the Reverend Doris K. Dalton. I am the chair of the board for the Human Rights Commission for Westchester County. I also am an ordained clergy person. I'm an ordained United Methodist clergy person, and I serve the bishop of the New York Annual Conference as the director of connectional ministries. I also, 416 United Methodist churches in this area. I serve them as well. And I'm here tonight to be with you and also to serve you with these words. It's a reflection about the season, the light, and what it means for us to be together. I was thinking about what Christians are doing right now. Christians are in this season that we call Advent. right? And Advent comes from the Latin word adventus, which means coming. And coming is a word that makes us kind of like lean forward. We're not relaxed with the word coming. We're anticipating. We're in a moment and space of expectation. It is something that is coming. But what is it that is coming? So in this Advent tradition that we have, we talk about change that is coming. A change that would upend oppressive powers, a change that would lift up the poor and the brokenhearted, a change that would establish justice and peace and mercy among all people. All people. And this change would come about because God's love, this powerful, transforming love, would not only change our hearts, but also change the world. Coming. So it is in this season where Christians also, we light candles as well. And our candles we light with the same hope and the same joy and the same peace, with the same expectation of mercy. We light these candles to pierce the night, to pierce through desperation and devastation, to pierce tragedy and disaster, to pierce oppression, to pierce through hate. We light candles to symbolize hope, peace, joy, and love, to call down this change and this love that is continually coming. And my friends, we are standing, or actually you're sitting and I'm standing, but we are here together because this love is not just coming, but it is already here, right? It's already here because that's why we're here. I believe that we are in this space because love has already come. Love is bringing us together. That is why I am here, because I not only have this love inside of me, but I'm in love with all of you. I'm in love with what we can be together and what we are becoming because we are coming, right? This love that is in us that is coming. So in order for us to be here on this night of lights, it is because love that has come. It is love that is in us and love that is between us, and also because we believe that love is also coming. So, beloved of God, that is all of you, all of us, beloved of God, we are thankful that we are not alone, that we do not light candles of hope and peace and joy and love. We do not light them in solitude, but we light them together because we are stronger together. We become the light together. And there is nothing that can ever extinguish our light. Amen. Amen.
And as vessels of love and that light, we are truly, truly blessed to have many religious leaders from all over Westchester of many faiths. If I could ask just for a moment for all of the religious leaders present to stand and be recognized. Thank you for being present and for bringing us all of those blessings. Thank you, friends. Thank you. You know, some of us who just stood up were in Israel together about a year ago on an interfaith clergy mission. And there was an Israel before October 7th and Israel after October 7th. So having just returned with elected officials, I can tell you that it's two not just different trips with groups of people, it's two different worlds. And to bear testimony in both moments is incredibly important because the goal is to be stronger than the first trip and stronger than the second trip, and to stand in allyship and alliance and support with the state of Israel and with the community there and here. Because as Jews in the United States, what happens there happens here. And as citizens of the United States, we know that when we don't stand together, it's just one of us at a time getting knocked down. And so in this moment, being able to introduce the Honorable George Latimer, our county executive, what I want to say is that I was privileged, and it's no small thing, to walk the streets of Jerusalem with him and to have a conversation about what leadership means, how he exercises his office, how he sees his obligation. And I felt like I was walking with an old, dear friend, which now I am. So it is my honor to introduce the Honorable George Latimer.
Well, it is an honor to be with you here today, and with the rabbi. We are certainly, I certainly attach to the old part of that comment, but the dear friend part is just achieved. In a few minutes, the rabbi is going to introduce all of my fellow elected officials who are here. There are quite a few that are countywide officials like Tim Idoni, our county clerk, Mimi Roca, our district attorney, my colleague, Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, are just part of all of the individuals that will be introduced in a few minutes. We have judges and we have legislators, all good friends. We're here tonight at the County Center, which is a county-owned facility. And this was envisioned all those years ago, in the right around 1930, to be created as a venue that would host all different types of events and activities, and that it would be universal in its use and benefit. Tonight we're here to celebrate Hanukkah. In 2 nights there'll be a rap concert by the group The Locks. Now, I admit I just kind of learned who The Locks were a little while ago, but they're prominent rap stars of a number of years ago here in Yonkers, and they'll be in the main building, and there'll be 3,000 or so people here enjoying that. At other times, we have the Westchester Knicks playing here, the Harlem Globetrotters will be here, and a host of other different venues. So there's a universality in the way this facility is used. And for those of you that went through this terrible COVID experience that we went through, this facility that hosts events like this hosted vaccinations. And if you did get your vaccinations through here, we realized that we met the moment where it was, took a physical facility, as we did Glen Island, which became a testing center, and we made it what it had to be at that moment. But it comes back to being a moment of, or a facility of universal use. That is analogous to the point that I think we're at today. Those of us who are here, those of us who are not Jewish, I'm Roman Catholic, and some of my other colleagues and friends in the room, other members of the clergy, come from the Christian faith and other faiths, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Baha'i, Sikh, a host of other different traditions. We join with our Jewish brothers and sisters to celebrate the Festival of Lights. And it is important to recognize that in almost every single religious tradition, there is a similar desire to seek the light and avoid the darkness. Just a few weeks ago, we hosted an event at our county office building for our Hindu brothers and sisters as they celebrated Diwali, the Festival of Lights, in their faith tradition. And we were there at that moment because there is a universality. We're at the time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere where it is almost at its most darkest. And that is at the time when people of ancient days had a very short day, and they were reaching for the light as a reminder that the spring would come, and the planting season would come, and a better day would come after that. And certainly, as Reverend Dalton said, as a Christian, we're in the season of Advent, and we are symbolically waiting for the light as well. We're waiting for the birth of a child, I might add in Bethlehem, who is to our faith tradition the light and the path and the way. And so in many ways, while we have different beliefs, they're not that far apart. They join together with the universality of things. The universal story of Hanukkah is a story of hope and faith in the face of danger, potential death. And the fact that the oil was sufficient to keep the candles lit for 8 days is a story of hope against the odds that we could multiply in so many other parts of our experience, some religious, some non-religious. But that universality is the key. There's a universality in suffering. Those of us who come from other experiences and different traditions can talk about times where our demographic had to suffer unfairly. And I'm not sure if there is a group of people more than the Jewish community that has suffered more through pogroms and the Holocaust and so forth. But that universality of suffering doesn't mean that my suffering is worse than yours. It means we're all humans, and we all go through that same experience together. From a secular standpoint, how can you govern from one perspective? I govern from this one perspective. No, you have to govern from a universal perspective, because ultimately we're all part of the same race, the human race. And whatever our demographics, we each have stories of oppression and frustration and suppression, but we all draw strength from lighting the menorah because it shows that there's hope in the human condition. Those of us in secular government, I often quote this phrase from the Bible, sacred to my faith and to the Jewish faith, in the Psalms, that says, "Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh in vain." I quote that all the time in religious settings because I view myself as a secular official as a watchman. And the watchman in a county government, you maintain a facility like this for public use. You maintain a bus system. You treat sewerage. You make sure airplanes land at the airport. You do those things that are the equivalent in the ancient days of the watchmen on the parapets of the walled city to make sure that the enemy, if it approaches, that the people are prepared to fight back at the enemy. The secular watchman, however, cannot keep the city unless the Lord keeps the city. And the Lord, the Almighty, however we reach that concept in our minds, the three major Abrahamic religions, or for that matter, any faith under, we understand that there are limits to what we can do as human beings. And we have to rely on some other source beyond that. And that's where faith takes over. And that's what this ceremony is about. It's about faith. It's about having a belief. At the end of the day, we're stronger in our diversity as long as we respect each other and we don't divide each other. We don't purposefully try to use the divisions that are created through demographics to put one person here and another person there. We have a universality of opportunity for the future that brings us together. So tonight, we're holding sorrow and we're holding joy in some relatively equal proportion. But ultimately, we have optimism that we will work through the sorrows. And like those people all those years ago, that there will be light enough for us to have a better day tomorrow. Thank you for letting me share those thoughts.
Just a moment of personal privilege. One of the moments that I won't forget from 2.5 weeks ago was standing in the south of Israel in Kibbutz Kfar Aza, where some of us, privilege is not the right word. We were committed to standing and bearing testimony where the county executive and I stood together in a moment of prayer. We didn't speak about it. We just stood there, and I felt so much of that message true for me. And you all being here is an exemplifying example of that very idea, that standing together, even when we don't have to say the words to express solidarity, that begins to speak volumes to the wider world around us. So it's my privilege to welcome and recognize each of our elected officials who are here tonight. I hope you'll hold your applause until the very end, but as I say your name, please do rise so that you can be recognized. Christopher Hentz, Office of Senator Chuck Schumer is here. Thank you for being here. Luke Powell, also Office of Senator Chuck Schumer. Thank you for being here. Quantel Bazemore, representing Congressman Jamal Bowman. Yoel Lefkowitz, Office of the New York State Attorney General. Thank you for being here. Honorary George Latimer, you are here. Ken Jenkins, the Deputy County Executive. Thank you for being here. Honorary Tim Idoni, the Westchester County Clerk, is here. The Honorary Mimi Roca is here, Westchester County District Attorney. Daniel Higgins from the Office of Westchester County District Attorney is also here. The Honorable Shelley Mayer is here, New York State Senator. Thank you. Honorary Chris Burdick from the New York State Assembly is also here. The Honorary Dana Levenberg from the New York State Assembly is here. Thank you. The Honorary Amy Paulin from the New York State Assembly is also here. Thank you for being here. Honorary David Everett is here from the New York Supreme Court. Honorary Nancy Barr, the Vice Chair of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, is here. Thank you for being here. Honorary Benjamin Boykin from the Westchester County Board of Legislators. The Honorary Catherine Parker from the Westchester County Board of Legislators is here. Thank you. Honorary Jewel Williams Johnson from the Westchester County Board of Legislators is here. Honorary Judah Holstein, Westchester County Board of Legislators-elect. I said honorary. That happens soon. Honorary Karen Brown, the Mayor of Terrytown, is here. Thank you for being here. Honorary Tom Roach, Mayor of White Plains, is here. Thank you for being here. Honorary Paul Feiner is here, Greenberg Town Supervisor. Thank you. Honorary Jane Elkin-Enny, Councilwoman from Mamaroneck. Thank you for being here. Crystal Collins, the Director of Faith-Based Initiatives from the Office of Westchester County Executive. Thank you for being here. Honorable Jennifer Tawil, the Councilwoman from the town of Ossining, is here. Susan Spear from the Westchester County DES is here. Shachar Liran Hanan is here, the Westchester Shaliach from Israel, from the Jewish Agency for Israel. Thank you for being here. Ellen Hendricks, I don't have you listed, but I am so glad that you are here. Thank you for being present. Friends, please join me in thanking all of our elected officials for being present today. And And thank you, Allison Spindell, for being here as well. Thank you.
Chag Sameach, Happy Hanukkah. I'm Rabbi Leora Frankel of Larchmont Temple, representing our Westchester Board of Rabbis. So delighted to be in this room with the glowing faces and soon the glow of our Hanukkah menorah. I know that for our congregations, especially over these months, Hanukkah was a much needed reprise. We needed to lean into the joy. We needed to lean into the light because it has been a dark time for our Jewish community. Our hearts are still breaking, even as we're singing songs with our children and spinning the dreidels. And though there was a moment of hope with some of our hostages coming back, the truth is there are hundreds of Israeli families who are praying for a Hanukkah miracle still tonight. The rabbis tell us that, in fact, we light the menorah to advertise the miracle, Pirsum Hanes, that same Talmudic passage that Rabbi Creditor invoked. Tells us that we're supposed to celebrate this season of miracles. The question is, what miracle are we talking about? If you ask two Jews, you'll get at least three opinions. Is it the miracle of the oil, that small cruse that was found when they went to rededicate the temple, expected to burn only for a day, but that lasted miraculously for 8? That's the story that we love to tell and that the rabbis lifted up. Is it the miracle of the faithful few, those brothers Maccabee, who stood up against religious persecution, who defeated the mighty oppressor that sought to destroy us, not the first and not the last? Yes, it's the miracle of the small against the mighty. It's the miracle of religious freedom preserved. But for me, as a rabbi in Westchester in 2023, in this moment, to me, the greatest miracle of all is that 2,000 years later, despite the ancient Assyrian Greek king Antiochus, despite Hitler, despite Hamas, we are still kindling this menorah. Proudly, strongly, and each night as we add a candle, we share out that message, Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish people lives and endures. Of course, the rabbis give us specific instructions, as they're wont to do in the Talmud, with what do we do with the menorah after we kindle it. They tell us that we're supposed to put it out by our doorstep. In fact, if you've ever been to Jerusalem in particular or Israel during Hanukkah, you'll see these glass boxes at the end of every walkway filled with the menorahs, literally to welcome you as you step up to a home. If you're living in an upper chamber, the rabbis of the Talmud say you should put it by the window. However, there's a small caveat written 2,000 years ago by these rabbis saying, if it is a time of danger, it's sufficient just to put it inside on the table. You don't have to put it out there if it might make you a target of violence or feel vulnerable. Somehow, this year in America, in New York, even in our lovely little village of Larchmont, we have congregants who are too frightened to put their menorah in the window because of that spike in anti-Semitism, because of the anti-Jewish, not just anti-Israel rhetoric that is just circulating in our country. And so tonight is such an important moment, a courageous moment and a critical moment for our Jewish community to know that we're not alone in kindling the lights, that we are free and proud and safe to put it in the window. We are so grateful on behalf of all of the Jewish clergy and our congregations to those elected officials who were here. And as George Latimer, they made me follow George. How can you ever follow George? Who incidentally worked at my former congregation at Community Synagogue of Rye. He'll tell you he did, right, George? You did marketing, publicity? But as he said, we tip the balance towards the light. And what's so amazing is that in this darkest time of year, when the nights are so long and thick, over the course of the holiday, as we add more and more light to our Chanukiah, to our Hanukkah menorah, it's as if by the end of the holiday, the universe, God has gotten the message, And you'll see tonight a sliver of new moon that has appeared in the sky. When we put light out into the world, it will come back to us. And so that is our hope and our mission, really. Tonight's the last night of Hanukkah, but putting light into the world is what we have to keep doing tomorrow night and the next night and the next night. Together, may our collective light illuminate the world. May it move us towards a more peaceful one. Thank you.
I should have introduced Rabbi Frankel, but I won't miss the chance to introduce my brother. Elder Mark McLean, just a year ago, we stood together in a moment that we wouldn't have predicted and wouldn't have asked for. In Israel together, we were planning on that day to go to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Jerusalem. We had also just received word of a gun violence massacre in Buffalo, New York, at the Tops grocery store, targeting primarily Black Americans, not only. And in that moment, we were trying to figure out what is the way to stand in the shadow of this monument against hate. And it was a moment of prayer. And Elder Mark led us in a moment of solidarity and prayer. I will never not be in that moment of prayer with you. I went back to Yad Vashem just 2 weeks ago with our elected officials, but I was standing there with you, and I actually pointed out to them the tree under which you were standing. It is my privilege to welcome you tonight to speak.
Peace and blessings, family. It is an honor to be here. Happy Hanukkah. And that I am still feeding off of that trip to Israel with my colleagues, with rabbis and pastors. It was awesome to be in a state that was built off the blood, sweat, and tears and lives of Jewish people. But it was very, very, very significant, the relationships and bonds that was built in those short period of time. And so as I watch what is happening today, and how hatred has made a tremendous comeback. And in particular, I see the anti-Semitism all around the world, but most hurtfully in my country, in my state, in my community. I would not have missed coming here to express my solidarity with my Jewish brothers. Because God only made one race. He made the human race. And my faith tells me that God made all of us in his image to reflect his glory. And so I have the honor of serving as an elder at Generations Church, where my wonderful senior pastor, Bishop Ray Mott, who sends his greetings of Happy Hanukkah. I also have the great honor of leading the seminal, preeminent organization in civil rights, the NAACP, my branch in New Rochelle. Finally, I have the honor of being the president of the IRC. But I don't speak now in any of those capacities. I speak as a human being to say that I stand against hate. I stand against anti-Semitism. And we have an opportunity. Where there's adversity, there's always opportunity. And in this darkness, and in this incredible adverse time, there is a great opportunity for all of us to reach out and connect as human beings and say, we are against anti-Semitism. We are against racism. We are against any form of hatred and evil. And I'm an eternal optimist. I believe that goodness is going to triumph over evil. Yes, I think that love will conquer hate. And as we celebrate light this evening, I believe that the light in all of us as human beings will conquer the darkness. So again, I say, happy Hanukkah, peace and blessing, family. And God loves you, and so do I.
Friends, we draw careful lines when it comes to the practice of religion in the name of a state. We don't do such a thing. It's one of the glories of this country to not have an official religion and therefore to protect all who believe in any specific way or not at all. But in a moment like this, I can't help but ask you to join me in a wish. I'll call it a prayer. You call it what you want. Around my neck, I've been wearing this dog tag, as have many of us. This dog tag, created in the state of Israel and now replicated by some organizations, including UJA here in New York, says in Hebrew, Halev shalanu shavui ba'aza, our heart is captive in Gaza, bring them home now. So before we continue with the lighting of the candles, I'll just ask you to join me in a quiet moment, sending all of the light of your soul to the darkest place where we hope very soon, sisters and brothers and children and grandparents and Holocaust survivors and neighbors, citizens of 33 nations and of at least 3 faiths, are still held hostage by Gaza. Please join me just in a moment of quiet reflection and prayer for those who would choose. Amen to the wishes of your hearts. We are told that the number 8 carries deep meaning. Of course, every number carries deep meaning. But 8, at least in Jewish terminology or in biblical terminology, which so many faiths share, is 7 plus 1. 7, the completion of creation. But then it could be even better than that, which is another way of saying the world as it exists is only as good as it is, and that is not good enough yet. Because until there is truly light everywhere, for everyone, what does creation mean? It means we are obligated to be partners with God and try to do our best. So in this moment where we're going to light 8 candles with beautiful musical celebration of blessing, and where we'll invite all the clergy members and all the elected officials to join us for the blessing, and then to know you can sit down once that's done because they're going to keep on singing. What I'll ask you to do is hold on to the hope, which interestingly enough, it's different than optimism. The late great Rabbi Jonathan Sacks said that optimism is the idea that it will be better. Hope is the commitment to help make it better and that we could have that power. I know we mean the same thing. I think words are interesting like that. So I'd ask us to double down on hope. Israel's national anthem says, Od lo avda tikvatenu. We still haven't given up hope. Thank God, and we never will. So before we light candles, I would love to thank the professional team of the County Executive's Office for their work on this event. Thank you to my UJA colleagues, especially Audrey Stein, who's the Westchester Regional Director, and Tali Strom, who's the Westchester Senior Mobilizer, and the Westchester Jewish Council team led by President Bill Schrag, and so many wonderful people. Please join me in thanking them for all the work it took to bring tonight together. And now it is truly my privilege to welcome Tizmoret, the Jewish a cappella group from Queens College, to come forward. They're going to lead us in singing the Hanukkah blessings. I'll ask all the clergy who are present, please join us. All the elected officials, please come stand together. And everybody, stand where you are. Stand united. We're about to light candles. For those who aren't familiar with the blessings, the first one says, thank you, God, for the obligation to light these lights. And the second one says, the miracles that happened then never stopped happening. Please be seated, everyone. We're going to continue with 2 songs with Tizmoret.
This first song is called Hanukkah Rondo. It is greatest hits of some of your favorite Hanukkah songs set in a rondo refrain form. So we hope you enjoy it.
חנוכה, חנוכה, חג יפה כל כך, כוכבים מסביב, כי לילד רע. חנוכה, חנוכה, סביבון סוף סוף, סוף 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 סוף, נעים בטוב. נלי, נלי, נלי דקיק, בחנוכה נרי הדליק, בחנוכה שירים השיר, בחנוכה נרי יאיר, בחנוכה שירים השיר. חנוכה, חנוכה, חג יפה כל כך, כוכבים מסביב, כי לילד רע. חנוכה, חנוכה, סביבון סוף סוף, סוף 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 סוף, נעים בטוב. נצבבוקה, יחד בוא נשירה, שירה חנוכה. מכבים אנחנו, דגלנו רם נכון, בימנים נלחמנו ולנו הניצחון. פרח הפרח, זה גדול נחזור, לראש המנצח, מכבי גיבור. חנוכה, חנוכה, לה 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 לה. מעוזור ישועתי, לך נאה לשבח, תיכון בית תפילתי, ושם תודה נזבח, ליאת אחים מטבח, מצורם נבח. אז אגמור בשיר מזמור, חנוכת המזבח. אז אגמור בשיר מזמור. Chanukah, Chanukah, la 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 la. Chanuki Aliesh,
Eket baha'esh,
V'sachali al katan echad,
v'sachali
V'sachali al katan echad. Chanuki Asheli,
li ha'ali,
Chanuki Asheli, ha'ali. Chanukah, 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 Kochavim misaviv, Gilei Elen Ra. Chanukah, Chanukah, Sivivot sof sof, sof 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 b'nei matan.
Here we go.
Chanukah, 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 Kochavim misaviv, Gilei Elen Ra. Chanukah, Chanukah, Sivivot sof sof, sof 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 mana'im b'tov, ram pam b'tov.
Thank you. We're going to close with a song. It's an English song with the Hebrew title of the song is called Hafachta. And the Hebrew says, Hafachta mispedi lemacholi, I will turn our sorrow into joy.
Big wheels keep on turning. They carry me home to see my kin. Singing songs about that holy land. I miss Jerusalem once again. Woo! Sweet home Jerusalem, where the skies are so blue. Sweet home Jerusalem, Lord, I'm coming home to you.
Brought me up when I was down. Oh, yes, it did. You filled me up with a brand new sound. Oh, yes, it did. Put the sunshine on my mind, and you made me dance. You brought me joy so I could find we all have another chance. Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
As I watch the river flow out into the sea, I think about where I've been and where I'm gonna be. I listen to her endless sounds as the water ocean moves along. Been that way for so many times, I just never heard a song. Na 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 hey, yeah. Na 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 na. Jerusalem, city of my dreams. I've been this way sometime before. That's the way it seems. I walked your streets and I've seen your walls, and I've sung your songs. I've been waiting for that David man to come down and take me home. Lord, I'm coming home to you.
Hafachta mispedi lemacholi, lemacholi. Hafachta mispedi lemacholi, lemacholi. Hashem Elokai le'olam odeka. Hashem Elokai le'olam odeka.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tizmoret. Friends, Hanukkah gives us a chance to shine a little bit more light, and so want to shine a little bit of light on the Honorable Hal Greenwald from the New York Supreme Court. I'm sorry for not having welcomed you earlier. Friends, thank you for being present. Thank you to everyone who made tonight happen. Chag Sameach, happy Hanukkah.